Well, the left's anti-gun agenda has scored a major victory in the aftermath of the Parkland, Florida mass shooting. Officials in the Chicago suburb of Deerfield have banned the possession, sale, and manufacture of assault-style weapons and large-capacity magazines. Residents have until June 13th to give them up, and if they refuse, they will face fines of up to $1,000 per day. Will other liberal strongholds soon try to follow in Deerfield's path? Joining us now with reactions, Democratic strategist Joel Payne. Joel, we've been hearing for weeks that the left doesn't have an anti-gun agenda. They don't have an agenda of banning guns. But yet here we are with Deerfield, Illinois, not just banning, quote, assault rifles, which really is a loaded political term. We're talking about semi-automatic sporting rifles here, but a number of other accessories that they deem as military style.
Well, I don't think this is actually the left that's doing this. This is a locality that's coming together to do something for the safety of their community, the same as another community did very near Deerfield Village. I believe it was Highland Park, did it in 2013, and they actually survived a couple of legal challenges that show that this is something that the court did not stand in the way of. It follows suit with what Florida did in the aftermath of the Parkland shooting. These are localities coming together because the national government, because our national leaders have failed to act meaningfully on gun control, on ensuring that we are protecting our citizens from gun violence.
Yeah, not everyone was on board with this, though. The majority of people who spoke at the meeting said they were against this measure. I want to play some sound from a woman who was at the meeting who was actually against banning these types of firearms.
There's going to be lots of talk about Second Amendment rights, but I'd be hard-pressed to find any right that is completely unrestricted.
Sorry, she was for this measure, but my question is, how does Illinois not have a number of pieces of legislation and regulations on the book already when it comes to gun control?
Well, look, states and localities have the right to act to make sure that they are protecting their citizens. The same way if you go to certain counties, they may be dry counties where you can't have alcohol at certain times.
Is alcohol in the Bill of Rights?
You have to be a certain age to drive at a certain time of night.
They
came together as a community to decide this is what will keep their community safe.
Okay.
You conservatives usually like this, by the way.
No, answer my question. Is driving and drinking alcohol, are those constitutional rights?
Excuse me?
Is drinking alcohol and driving a vehicle, are those constitutional rights?
Those aren't constitutional rights, but those are certainly things that our government says that we can do.
So we shouldn't treat constitutional rights when they are one.
Other amendments in our cherished amendments, we have restrictions on. We have restrictions on all of our amendments, not to prevent us from being able to enjoy them fully, but to be able to enjoy them responsibly.
Well,
and so, again, I think it's very inconsistent ideologically for conservatives to say that now they have a problem with local governments and localities coming together to protect their communities.
Conservatives don't believe in taking out certain pieces of the Bill of Rights depending on what place you live in. I would hope that the entire Bill of Rights would apply that way. But my question for you, based on the fact that this ban did pass, how are they going to enforce this? They say they're going to charge people $1,000 a day if they don't turn these firearms over by June 13th. Are they then going to go search people's homes unlawfully? Are they going to go get a warrant to decide whose home they get to search and seize their weapons? How are you actually going to enforce something like this?
Well, why would you assume they would do anything unlawfully? How do you enforce any other law or regulation or ordinance?
I'm honestly asking, are you going to go door to door to people's homes and confiscate their firearms? How do you enforce a law like this?
Well, I don't live there, but I imagine it's the same way that you would do anything.
For the rest of the country,
if there's
right?
a law against jaywalking, I assume that people, if they're caught jaywalking, are going to be fined or reprimanded.
The Second Amendment. It's the same exact thing. No, seriously. I mean, the left talks all about how they don't want to confiscate firearms. They passed legislation like this, which would require law enforcement agents to go into homes.
They did the same thing. They acted locally to protect their citizens.
They did not do the same thing. Okay, but answer my question. How do you enforce a law like this without actually violating a number of the other rights we have in the Constitution, like right to non-improper search and seizure? How are they going to enforce this law, and how would they do it across the country?
I'm not quite sure how to answer your question. How do you enforce a law? I mean, you enforce a law the way you do anything. You work with your local officials to make sure that they are aware of what the regulations are, and you take steps to make sure that citizens are aware of that. And if people run afoul of it, you hold them accountable for it. How do you enforce any law?
And this is exactly why gun owners don't want a national registry, because liberals want to know
this was upheld by the court, by the way,
so they can confiscate
it was upheld by the 7th
We're out of time.
Appeals Court, and also the Supreme Court declined to hear it.
We'll be right back.